season. We're really glad that he was with us this year. All these years past, we miss it. David Kim. The next thought, has anybody told me, and this shows you how much I know about running, but I have seen this happen. Anybody told me that Xavier Clinton would have been our #4 runner at the state meet this year, I would have said, are you a football coach? Because football coaches know as much about distance running as I know about football. It's one of those things that if he wasn't a good worker, it wouldn't happen. You don't improve by sitting around. You have to keep working at it, never giving up on yourself. Sooner or later, good things are going to come. And to say there certainly was a good thing. Plaster's been with us since the 7th grade. Good runner. I remember way back when he was in PE and Wilson told me, he said, gee, you got to get this Ernie Plaster out for the cross time. He says, you can run forever. And I said, okay, well, Ernie showed up, and each year he's gotten a little better. He's one of these kind of runners who makes it look effortless. Very graceful kind of runner. You almost think that they're local. I've experienced with those kind of runners before. I hope he's got all his injuries behind him. He is currently training to become a sports medicine specialist. He's had every injury there is, so we figure that he might have his doctor's thesis probably before he goes to graduate school. Last fall was beginning. Like last fall, he missed about the first half of the season. Last track season, he missed the first half of the season. This year, he missed about 3/5 of the first part of the season. And this year's injury was probably the worst of them all, not only from the standpoint of slowness to heal, but also from the psychological barrier put on it. You have all these injuries one after another, and sometimes get discouraged. This was the first time he actually felt somewhat discouraged. And as a result, got a little heavy. Just a few pounds, but not a whole lot. And he didn't believe that he was. And suggested somewhere along the line that maybe he should lose a few pounds. He looked at me as if, well, I just said something really evil. And the only reason I got that trick is because after Amy Piper just had the flu for a week, she came back without much training and ran her fastest race of the year, and she was 10 pounds lighter. So I told her the same thing, keep those pounds off and lose a few more. So I got on him about it. As I don't know if this had any correlation with it, but as the pounds came off and he got in better shape, he began to look better, especially that last week of the state. Had he not had the unfortunate experience of falling in the first part of the state race, and I saw it on film, I do believe he did lose about 80 yards in that fall. he would have been much higher in the state meet. It's just one of those things that happen in life. But he ran a very, very good race, very gutsy race, and he's coming around to where he can maintain a reasonably good training schedule over the off-season and carry it on the track. That he's going to have a very, very good track season. Very talented young man, David Richter. When I first started playing golf as a freshman, I was kind of taken under wing by one of the older members of the track team. And I think he kind of wanted to be a coach someday. So he kind of looked at me and thought, well, I'll give this guy some advice, because obviously he doesn't know it. And first thing that this kid said to me one day, I was out running 220 on the track. I was a 5-minute mile in high school. Didn't run cross country as a freshman in college, and showed up for the track meeting in January. The coach said to me, where are you in cross country? And I said, well, I wanted to get good grades. I got C's. Why? He said, well, he said, what can you do? And I said, well, I can run along to 5 minutes to a mile. And he said, well, we've got a guy this year who's going to run about 4:15, and another one who's going to run 4:12. And the other day, one of them just got done running his 14-mile run. He does twice a week. And the other one ran 12 2:20s in 30 seconds, and then he came back and ran 12 4:40 in about 65. So what's the farthest you've run? 2 miles. In training? He said, yeah. So that's the most I've ever run. He said, well, he says, even with training, maybe you could have run a 4:40. He says, but I doubt it. There's the sheet, sign up if you want. And I stood up. This is probably the turning point in my life, as far as athletics. I stood up, and I looked at that sheet, and I looked at him, and this is January. January, basketball season. And so that's it, there it is. And right on the tip of my tongue was, maybe I better concentrate on my studies. I was going to walk out the door. And I didn't want him to think I was a quitter. So I figured, well, I'll sign the sheet and not show up. So I go sign the sheet. And I'm out the door, and I turned to him, I said, when do you start? And I'm thinking, March. He says, tomorrow. Tomorrow? January. And yeah, he says, I want you here tomorrow, I'll give you your stuff, and start training. That's when I found out the distance running was a little bit about. And then I get this guy telling me, the first day I run these 220s, I run 8 of them, and I walk the 220 in between. Why do I walk in between? Because I'm tired. And he comes from a jogging by and he said, you know, you'll do better if you jog in between those 220s. And I thought, you smart guy, who do you think you are? Because you've never done this before. And that's where I found out the training was. And then this guy would start giving me advice on my style. And that's why I'm leading into this next run. Nels. You don't win races on style points. Okay? I have the worst form in the world. I never do it, because I never see myself run. And they started giving me so many fine points on things that I could do to improve my style. But after a while when I ran, instead of concentrating on my running, I was looking at my shadow, checking out my style. Shadows don't tell you much. They lie a hot. Being up there, it looks like the shower looks real good, so I must be running. 6 years later, after I got out of college and was running down at Stoughton, my coach said to me, he said, "You've got crummy style." And I said, "What do you mean? I've been working on it for 6 years." He said, "Don't worry about it. Just do the weights, make yourself stronger, and don't worry about your style. You just build that way, and you'll get around just as fast that way as you will someone with. There is no correct way to run. When people see Nels run, they say, he's had it. How many times has Nels taken off in the lead in the race? And people who are watching say, that guy ain't gonna last. And he comes around the woods at Silver Lake, and there he is, still ahead. And they're saying, well, that's fluky. And he comes around the second lap, and he's still ahead. It's kind of like Bill Cosby said in his one comedy routine he did, he run behind him forever, waiting for him to drop. That's the way you finish, behind him. This is the kind of person who doesn't let that kind of stuff bother him. He knows what it takes to be a champion. His dedication and hard work, and he's got plenty of that. He's also got that one little extra ingredient, and that is mental toughness. Train all you want to, and you can be as dedicated as you want to. When you step in that starting line, you better be mentally tough as well. All that training you've done in the past is going to be determined how mentally tough you are at that starting line, and all the way through the race. This guy is definitely one of the toughest I've ever had, and that's quite a compliment, because any cross-country runner is tough. To be labeled that is the epitome of cross-country. Nels Paulson. We have some special awards. Give out. First of all, for the girls, we had 3 captains this year, and all 3 of them did a very fine job for us, and planning little things that go on, and just urging the other people on. We had a party at Murray's. We'd like to thank Murray's for risking their home.